Man, you think you can't get over something? The Rays still haven't gotten over 2008 apparently. I mean, damn, it was 16 years ago. Guess they just still loathe the Phillies for what they did to them in that year's World Series. No, of course, a beef between a guy who was in high school during that World Series and a guy who was 10 years old during that World Series is not about that World Series. But it is between the Rays and Phillies, and that's where we get to this latest mayhem. The two teams were going back and forth through the first many innings. Every time the Phillies would score, so would the Rays. And this happened 3 times until the game was tied into the bottom of the 8th, 4-4, and after the Phillies got a couple of guys on with 2 outs, in for the Rays out of the bullpen comes Edwin Uceta, one of today's main characters, so he needs some backstory. For those not aware, which I'm sure may even be most of you, Edwin Uceta has emerged as one of the best relievers in all of baseball this year. Like, he's been insanely good, although I wouldn't blame you for not knowing that. The Rays and their players fly under the radar when they're good, let alone when they're not. And the Rays aren't even bad this year, they're just there, but Uceta has been awesome, and putting someone like him in a late game situation to keep a game tied is a no-brainer. Going into this game, Uceta had a .75 ERA, 0.75. He was averaging about 12.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's barely allowing anyone on base. Like, he has tremendous command and doesn't even walk anyone. It's insane. The Rays have proven to be where it's at in developing pitching, and Uceta is only another result of their what seems like should be illegal pitching lab. He's such a stereotypical Rays success story too. He was on the Dodgers to start his career, making it to the big leagues in 2021, was dropped by them, joined Arizona in 2022, pitched a few innings there before being dropped by them, picked up by the Tigers, dropped by them before even pitching for them, picked up by the Pirates, dropped by the Pirates before pitching for them, picked up by the Mets, throwing 3 innings for them before getting dropped, picked up by the Cubs, dropped by them after struggling in AAA, all then to be picked up by the Rays. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams that gave up on this guy, only for the Rays to come calling and turn him into baseball's best reliever. Alright, whatever. So in comes Uceta to try and keep this game tied, and he'd immediately fail at that, giving up a 2-run single on his changeup, come back to strike the next guy out, and just when you think those 2 runs were all the Phillies were going to get, which would have been enough on its own heading into the 9th, they weren't done. They were looking to add some insurance and balloon Uceta's numbers in the process. The first 2 runs that scored were charged to Richard Lovelady, who allowed them on, but second pitch, next at bat by Uceta would be jammed into right, another run scores, that's an earned run for Uceta. Up comes Trey Turner, and the first strike he saw in this at bat would be sent over the left field wall for a 2-run homer, his second of the game. 2 more earned runs for Uceta. Phillies now up 9-4, everything is unraveled for the Rays, and then Harper drives one for a double. And in insanely rare fashion, Uceta was struggling bad. He was so dominant leading to this point, and all of a sudden the Phillies couldn't stop teeing off on him. It's been brewing from within this whole time, and he's beyond pissed now, something Nick Castellanos noticed.
Yeah, I almost like I got into the box. I wasn't even swinging because I thought there was a chance that could happen, and it happened. I think that he was just pissed off that his numbers got messed up. I think that we all kind of got a sense of what it was, that he was just pissed off that, he got hit around and his ERA shot through the roof.
And so, seemingly out of pure spite and anger, Uceta would smoke Castellanos with what was registered as a 96-mile-an-hour sinker. Castellanos was immediately hot, yelling back out at Uceta.
Yeah, I just told him that was bullshit. It's like my 2-year-old throwing a fit because I take away his dessert before he's finished.
Meanwhile, Harper, who was standing at second base, started rushing in at Uceta, even more fired up than Castellanos was, screaming, going nuts before a couple of Rays made sure he didn't do anything. Here comes the bullpens to do what they always do in a moment of crisis like this. Absolutely nothing. It was a pretty wild scene for a moment. Castellanos seemed to quickly calm down, but it took a little longer for Harper too. Bro was not having it, and was also ready for a potential fight, saying after the game that he wasn't going to cheap shot him, obviously, but if Uceta turned around, he would have been ready for a fight.
He didn't turn around, and I didn't want to be a loser and come up behind him. I just, if he's going to turn around, then all right, let's go. But he never turned around, so I didn't want to. I'll say loser. I didn't want to be a loser. There's another word I want to use, but I won't. But I didn't want to be a loser and come up behind him. I wouldn't have been right. If he was facing me, then all right.
As for what Uceta had to say for himself after the game, one of the things he said was expected and cliche. Whenever a player throws at someone, he never admits it, like ever. At least 95% of the time, it slipped, or I was trying to pitch inside, or whatever bullshit. So Uceta said that, saying it wasn't his intention to hit Castellanos. But then he threw in a new one. After giving a cliche answer, he went creative and gave us the old "my changeup just got away from me." Right, I hate when that happens. When my 96.2 mph changeup just gets a mind of its own and hits batters. Feel like I had way better control of my 112 mph fastball anyway. No, but in all seriousness, why would he say that? We all know damn well that's not a changeup. Nobody is going to believe that for a second. Unless you purposely choose to not look at the video or at reality, you'd clearly see that this wasn't something soft.
Holy God, what are you showing me? His head. Come on! Open your eyes!
I just found that bold and funny. He could have said anything else, but instead he chose to lie 2 times in one sentence. Or he at least lied once, because even if he didn't hit Castellanos on purpose, this isn't a changeup, but he likely did throw at him on purpose. It probably was purely out of anger for having a bad game and getting his low ERA boosted. And if that's the case, the Phillies have a right to be upset, obviously. That's just completely unnecessary and stupid. I get being frustrated, but I don't get taking it out on Castellanos, throwing a solid object at 96 miles an hour, something that can obviously injure the man. Literally all that does is make you look so bad. Everyone has terrible games, doesn't mean it's easy to swallow, but now you just turn what would have likely been some forgotten crappy outing into one that lost you a lot of respect. But yeah, it's also very clear Harper wanted a fight. At least for a moment he did. You can't tell me he didn't psych himself up for a bit right here. And you also can't tell me he wasn't at least a little bit upset Uceta didn't match his energy. I just found that funny. Let me know your thoughts and thank you for watching.